Investigators in Redlands are trying to figure out what sparked a massive fire that destroyed a warehouse. KCAL9's Rachel Kim has more on the distribution center that shipped products for Amazon.
The fire erupts. It was just another evening when Emma Hasty, a young woman.
Donna, it is chaos, really. You hear the emergency sirens going, but I need to show you, it's not just on the border. This is Fort McMurray burning.
Settled in her apartment in a quiet condo building. Little did she know that her life was about to change in an instant. The evening began like any other, with a sense of calm hanging in the air.
And we're going through this, and it just happened, and they have no fire insurance.
However, that peace was shattered when a sudden, loud crackling noise came from the kitchen. Within seconds, thick smoke started filling the air. Panic swept over Emma as she realized something was terribly wrong. The fire had started unexpectedly, spreading rapidly across the building. She rushed to the window, looking down at the street below, hoping to find some way out. But the fire was already moving too fast. She could see flames licking the walls of the building, inching closer to her apartment. In that moment, Emma knew she had to act fast. With every passing second, the situation grew more dangerous. The building was beginning to fill with smoke, making it harder for her to breathe. The heat was unbearable, and she knew that waiting any longer could be deadly. Emma grabbed her beloved dog, Pokudo, and quickly made a decision. It was time to escape. Her heart raced as she knew this would be a fight for survival. The fire wasn't waiting, and neither could she. Moments of panic. As the smoke thickened, Emma's breathing became shallow. Her eyes stung, and her body trembled with fear. She rushed to grab her dog, Pokudo, who was barking frantically, sensing the danger. Emma's mind raced, trying to process what was happening. Should she stay and wait for help, or should she take the risk and try to escape on her own? With every second that passed, the fire was getting closer, and the heat became almost unbearable. Emma could feel the intense warmth from the flames creeping through the walls. The once quiet condo now felt like a death trap. She had no time to think about the consequences. There was only one choice: escape. The panic was overwhelming. Emma's heart raced as she looked around the room, desperately searching for a way out. The windows were too high to jump from, but she could hear the fire roaring closer. She tried to open the front door, but it was jammed from the heat. Every corner of the condo seemed like a potential hazard, and her thoughts became clouded with fear. In the midst of this chaos, Emma could only think of one thing: survival. She couldn't stay inside any longer. With Pokudo clutched tightly in her arms, Emma's only thought was to make it out alive. The panic surged within her, but she knew the longer she hesitated, the harder it would be to escape. A life-saving leap. As the fire grew stronger and the smoke thickened, Emma's options dwindled. She knew the time for hesitation had passed. Her heart pounded in her chest as she made her way to the window, desperately trying to assess her escape route. The flames were dangerously close, and the air was thick with smoke, making it nearly impossible to see clearly. She took a deep breath, holding onto her dog, Pokudo, tightly. Looking out the window, she saw the drop below, 3 stories down. Her stomach churned with fear, but she knew this was the only chance she had to survive. The flames crackled just behind her, their heat almost unbearable. Emma knew if she stayed inside for even a moment longer, she might not make it out alive. With no other choice, she quickly climbed onto the window ledge, her hands shaking as she adjusted her grip on Pokudo. The weight of the decision hit her, but the thought of her dog's safety gave her strength. Without any further hesitation, Emma jumped. It was a terrifying, heart-stopping leap into the unknown. Time seemed to slow as she fell, the ground rushing up toward her. With a thud, she landed on the grass below, her legs buckling under the impact. Pain shot through her body, and she cried out in agony, but she was alive. Emma scrambled to her feet, still holding Pokudo in her arms. Her legs were sore, and she could feel the sting of her injuries, but she didn't stop. She looked back up at the burning condo, the flames now licking the sky. She had made it out alive, but the danger was far from over. Injured, but alive. Emma's body ached from the impact of the fall, but she didn't have time to dwell on the pain. She staggered to her feet, clutching Pokwudo close to her chest, her heart still racing from the adrenaline. The air was thick with smoke, and the sound of crackling flames filled her ears. Looking up, she could see the condo building engulfed in flames, a terrifying reminder of how close she had come to losing everything. Despite the overwhelming pain in her legs, Emma forced herself to move. She limped away from the building, her vision blurry from both the smoke and the shock. Pokwudo whimpered in her arms, but Emma reassured him with a gentle voice, her focused entirely on getting to safety. Her legs were shaking, and with every step, the pain from her fall intensified. She could feel a sharp throbbing in her right leg, and she knew it was likely injured. But Emma wasn't about to let that stop her. She had survived the most terrifying moments of her life, and she wasn't going to let an injury stop her from finding safety. As she stumbled toward the street, she saw firefighters rushing toward the building. They immediately noticed her, and one of them shouted for assistance. Emma collapsed into the arms of the paramedics as they quickly examined her, but her only thought was how lucky she was to be alive. Pokwudo, though shaken, was safe, and Emma felt a wave of relief wash over her. Though injured, she had made it out of the fire, and in that moment, nothing else mattered. The pain would heal, but the fact that she and her dog had survived was the most important thing. The heroic rescue. As Emma collapsed into the arms of the paramedics, she couldn't help but feel a mix of relief and disbelief. The firefighters quickly got to work, ensuring she and Pokwudo were both safe. They carefully lifted her into an ambulance, tending to her injuries. The team praised her bravery, amazed at how she had managed to escape the building's flames. Her quick thinking and determination had saved not only her life, but her dog's as well. Emma's leap from the burning condo became a true story of courage in the face of danger. Starting over after the fire. The days following the fire were a blur of pain and disbelief. Emma's leg, though healing, was a constant reminder of the terrifying leap she had taken to escape the flames. Yet, through it all, she remained determined to rebuild her life. The fire had destroyed her condo, but it hadn't destroyed her spirit. In the weeks that followed, Emma found herself processing the events of that fateful night. Her emotions fluctuated between gratitude for her survival and sorrow for the home she had lost. The memories of the fire, the smoke, the heat, and the sound of flames engulfing the building haunted her. But each day, Emma grew stronger, and she knew she had a new purpose now, one that went beyond surviving. Her first step in rebuilding was finding a new place to live. It wasn't easy, and the financial burden of losing everything weighed heavily on her. But she found support from friends and family, as well as generous donations through a GoFundMe campaign that had been set up for her. The kindness from strangers who heard her story gave Emma the strength she needed to keep going. With the help of the funds raised, she was able to secure a modest apartment, and slowly but surely, Emma started to create a new home. Although it wasn't the same as before, it was a fresh start. Emma began to focus on her physical and emotional recovery. Throughout it all, Pokwudo remained her constant companion. The little dog, who had been with her every step of the way, provided much-needed comfort. His presence was a reminder that, despite the devastation, she still had something precious by her side. The fire had taken so much, but Emma had gained something much more valuable: strength, resilience, and a renewed sense of hope for the future. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but she was no longer afraid. After all, she had already faced the worst and survived. Emma survived against all odds, but the story doesn't end here. The truth behind that terrifying night is more chilling than you can imagine. In our next video, we uncover the mystery of a forgotten diary that reveals what really happened. You won't want to miss it. Hit subscribe now.